My sister said no one would ever date me, so she cried when I got engaged before her. Growing up, Violet was the pretty one, the charming one, the one who got asked to every dance while I stayed home with a book. Mom used to sigh and say, "At least you're smart, honey." Like that was some consolation prize for being invisible. Violet dated constantly. Star athletes, homecoming kings, guys who looked like they stepped out of cologne ads. She'd bring them to family dinners just to watch me squirm. "Maybe you could set her up with one of your friends," Mom would suggest hopefully. Violet would laugh. "My friends have standards." By the time I turned 25, I'd stopped going to family gatherings. Violet was on boyfriend number 4 that year, each one supposedly the one. Meanwhile, I was building my career as a civil engineer, traveling for projects, living my life. Then I met Owen at a construction site in Denver. He was the project manager, brilliant and kind, with this quiet confidence that made everyone listen when he spoke. We started with coffee breaks, then dinners, then everything else. 6 months in, he proposed. Simple, perfect, exactly us. I called my parents to share the news. Silence. Then Mom said, "Are you sure he's serious? Men don't usually..." She trailed off, but I heard it loud and clear. "Men don't usually choose you." I hung up. Violet called 10 minutes later. "Congratulations," she said, her voice tight. "I'm really happy for you." She wasn't. I could hear her crying after she thought she'd muted the phone. At our engagement party, Violet showed up with Preston, her latest. She wore white. Actually wore white to my engagement party. She kept touching Preston's arm, laughing too loudly, making sure everyone saw how perfect they were. But I noticed how he checked his phone constantly, how he barely looked at her. Mom pulled me aside. "Don't make a big fuss about the wedding," she whispered. "Violet's having a hard time with this." I just stared at her. My own mother asking me to downplay my happiness because my sister couldn't handle not being the center of attention. 2 weeks before my wedding, Violet called at 2 a.m. "I need to tell you something," she sobbed. Preston had cheated. They'd broken up. "I just thought maybe we could postpone your wedding," she said. "Just a month or two, until I feel better." I laughed, actually laughed. "No." She showed up at my wedding anyway, red-eyed and dramatic. During the reception, she cornered Owen near the bar. I watched from across the room as she touched his shoulder, leaned in close. My cousin Tessa appeared beside me. "She's telling him you've always been jealous of her," Tessa whispered. "That you're probably just using him to compete with her." Owen's face went cold. He stepped back, said something brief, and walked away. Violet stood there looking stunned. When he reached me, he kissed my forehead and said, "Your sister just tried to convince me you're marrying me out of spite." He smiled. I told her that was impossible because spite doesn't look at someone the way you look at me. We left early for our honeymoon. 3 days into our trip in Greece, my phone exploded with messages. Violet had posted on social media that she was engaged to Preston, the same Preston who'd cheated. She'd taken him back and he'd proposed, apparently the same week as my wedding. The announcement was full of photos, captions about true love conquering all, about finding her soulmate. I showed Owen. "Should we send congratulations?" he asked. "No," I said. "Something's wrong." I was right. 2 days later, Tessa sent me a screenshot. Preston's ex-girlfriend had commented on Violet's post. "He's still married to me. Our divorce won't be final for 6 months." I sat on our hotel balcony, the Aegean Sea stretching endlessly before me, and felt something shift. Violet had been so desperate to one-up me that she'd gotten engaged to a married man. But it got worse. When I got home and finally checked my email, there was a message from someone named Delilah. "I don't know if you know this," it read, "but your sister Violet has been messaging your fiancé, well, husband now, I guess, since before your engagement." My hands went numb. The email continued. Delilah was Owen's assistant at his previous job site. She'd noticed Violet's messages coming through on Owen's work phone, which she managed for scheduling purposes. "At first they seemed innocent," she wrote, "just asking about you, saying she wanted to make sure you were happy. But then they got weird. She started asking personal questions about Owen, about his finances, about whether he'd dated anyone before you." I sat staring at my laptop screen, the cursor blinking. Owen was in the shower, humming some Greek song we'd heard at a taverna the night before. I could hear the water running, could picture him completely unaware that our entire relationship might have been under attack this whole time. "She asked him to meet her for coffee," Delilah's email continued. "Said she needed his help with a surprise for you." Owen declined. "She asked again, and again. I'm only telling you this because the messages kept coming even after your wedding. The last one came yesterday. She told him she'd made a mistake, that she should have fought for him, that you didn't deserve him." I called Delilah immediately. It was 4 a.m. in Chicago, but she answered on the second ring. "I knew you'd call," she said. "I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner, but Owen made it clear he wasn't interested and I didn't want to ruin your engagement. But when she messaged again after your wedding, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Do you have screenshots?" My voice sounded hollow. "All of them. I'll send them now." The shower turned off. I had maybe 3 minutes before Owen came out. My email dinged. Delilah had sent a folder with 47 screenshots. I opened the first one. Violet. "Hey, this is so random, but I wanted to reach out. I'm Violet's sister. I just wanted to say thank you for making her so happy." That one was dated 2 weeks after Owen and I started dating, before anyone knew we were serious, before I'd even told my family about him. Owen. "Thanks, she makes me happy too." Violet. "Can I ask you something? I'm planning a surprise for her birthday and I need your help." Owen. "Sure, what did you have in mind?" Violet. "Can we grab coffee? It's easier to explain in person." Owen. "I'm pretty busy this week. Can we just discuss it over text?" There were 15 more messages from Violet trying to set up a meeting, Owen politely declining each time. Then the messages changed tone. Violet. "I have to be honest with you, I'm worried about my sister. She has a history of moving too fast in relationships and getting hurt. I just want to make sure you're serious about her." Owen. "I'm very serious about her. You don't need to worry." Violet. "It's just that she's been hurt before. by men who seemed serious at first. How do I know you're different? Owen, you'll have to trust me. Or better yet, trust your sister to make good decisions. I scrolled faster. The bathroom door opened. I slammed the laptop shut. Owen emerged in a towel, water still dripping from his hair. Everything okay? He asked, noticing my face. I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. Did Violet ever message you? His expression shifted. Yeah, she did. Why didn't you tell me? He sat down on the bed next to me. Because it didn't matter. She was clearly trying to cause problems, and I wasn't going to give her that satisfaction. I figured if I ignored her, she'd eventually stop. Did she stop? No. He ran his hand through his wet hair. The messages got more intense. She started saying things about you, about your past relationships, trying to make me doubt you. Then she started making it about her, saying she'd made a mistake introducing us. She didn't introduce us. We met at a construction site. I know. That's when I realized she was lying about everything. So I blocked her number. I opened the laptop again and showed him the screenshots. All 47 of them. He scrolled through in silence, his jaw tightening with each message. This one, I pointed to a message sent 3 days before our wedding. This one says she loves you. Violet, I can't stop thinking about you. I know it's wrong. I know the timing is terrible. But I think I'm in love with you. I think I have been since the moment we met. Owen, we've never met, Violet. And I'm marrying your sister in 3 days. Don't contact me again. Violet, we did meet at your engagement party. You probably don't remember because you were so focused on her, but I felt something. I know you felt it too. Owen had blocked her after that, but the messages had continued to his work email, which was public. The last one had been sent yesterday. Violet, I know you blocked me. I know you think I'm crazy, but I need you to know that she's not who you think she is. She's using you to get back at me for being prettier, more successful, more loved. Our whole lives she's been jealous of me. This is just another way for her to win. Owen closed the laptop. This is insane. This is Violet. We sat in silence. The Greek sun streamed through the windows, making everything look surreal. I thought about every interaction with my sister. Every moment she'd made me feel small. The comments about my appearance, my intelligence, my worth. The way she'd monopolized our parents' attention, their love, their pride. The way Mom had asked me to downplay my own wedding so Violet wouldn't feel bad. And now this. She'd tried to steal my husband before I'd even married him. What do you want to do? Owen asked quietly. I thought about it. I could confront her, scream at her, show our parents what she'd done, but that's what she wanted. Drama, attention, proof that I cared enough about her actions to react. Nothing, I said. We do nothing. We finish our honeymoon, we go home, and we live our lives. Without her in them. Owen nodded. I like that plan. We stayed in Greece for another week. We didn't talk about Violet again. We swam in the sea, ate grilled octopus at tiny restaurants, got lost in winding stone streets. It was perfect. Until we came home. The first sign something was wrong was our front door. It was unlocked. Owen and I lived in a secure building with a doorman, and we definitely locked the door when we left. Owen pushed it open slowly. Our apartment had been ransacked. Not robbed, ransacked. Drawers pulled out, contents dumped on the floor, couch cushions slashed, wedding photos ripped from frames, torn into pieces and scattered across the living room floor. On our bedroom mirror, written in red lipstick, "You don't deserve him." I called the police. They came, took photos, asked questions. The doorman swore no one had come up to our floor except maintenance, but the maintenance company had no record of any scheduled work. There was no sign of forced entry. Whoever did this had a key. Only 3 people had keys to our apartment. Me, Owen, and my mother. I'd given Mom a spare key 6 months ago when she'd offered to water my plants while I was traveling for work. Where's the key now? The police officer asked. I called Mom. Do you still have my apartment key? Of course, sweetheart. Why? Can you check right now? Make sure it's still there? I heard her moving around, opening drawers. It's not in the usual spot. Let me look. 5 minutes later. I can't find it. When did you need it? I'm sure it's here somewhere. When was the last time you saw it? Oh, I don't know. Maybe a few weeks ago? Violet borrowed it, actually. She said she wanted to drop off your wedding gift while you were on your honeymoon, as a surprise. The police officer's pen stopped moving. He looked at me. I gave him Violet's full name and address. They found her at Preston's apartment. The same Preston who was still legally married to someone else. She denied everything at first. Said she'd never been to our apartment, never touched anything. Then they showed her the security footage. The building's security cameras had caught everything. Violet entering with a key 2 days after our wedding. Leaving 3 hours later with 2 large garbage bags. Going back the next day with Preston, the 2 of them carrying out boxes. They'd stolen from us. While we were on our honeymoon, celebrating our marriage, my sister and her married boyfriend had broken into our home and stolen our wedding gifts, the cash gifts from the envelopes, my grandmother's jewelry that I'd worn on the wedding day, Owen's laptop, our passports, even the espresso machine we'd registered for. The police found most of it in Preston's storage unit. Violet had apparently planned to sell it all online. Why? The detective asked her. Why would you do this to your own sister? According to the police report, she'd said, because she has everything I want. She always gets everything. Preston was charged with breaking and entering and theft. Violet was charged with theft, vandalism, and criminal trespass. Preston's actual wife filed for divorce and sued both of them for emotional distress. Our parents hired Violet the best lawyer they could afford, spent $40,000 on her legal fees, and begged me not to press charges. She's your sister, Mom pleaded. She made a mistake. Family forgives. Family doesn't break into each other's homes. She was going through a difficult time. The Preston situation, your wedding, it was all too much for her. So my wedding was too much for her. My happiness was too much for her. You know what I mean. I do. I've always known what Violet's feelings matter. Violet's struggles matter. Violet's jealousy and rage and cruelty matter. And I should just accept it. Forgive it. make myself smaller so she can feel bigger. That's not fair. You're right, it's not. It's not fair that I had to downplay my engagement because it hurt Violet's feelings. It's not fair that you asked me to postpone my wedding because Preston cheated. It's not fair that you gave her my apartment key without asking. It's not fair that even now, with police reports and evidence and her own confession, you're asking me to protect her from consequences. Mom started crying. She's my daughter. So am I. I pressed charges. All of them. Violet took a plea deal. 6 months in county jail, 2 years probation, community service, and a restraining order that prohibited her from contacting Owen or me for 5 years. Our father didn't speak to me for a year. Said I destroyed the family, turned my back on my own blood, chosen a man over my sister. Mom called occasionally, always with the same speech about forgiveness and moving forward and how families work through difficulties. I changed my locks, all of them, installed a security system, started therapy. Owen and I bought a house in a different neighborhood. We didn't tell my parents the address. We had a small housewarming party. Our friends came. Owen's family came. Tessa came, the only member of my family I invited. I'm proud of you, she said, standing in our new kitchen, for setting boundaries, for protecting yourself. Mom thinks I'm cruel. Your mom has spent 30 years enabling Violet's worst behaviors. Of course she thinks accountability is cruelty. Life moved on. Owen got promoted to senior project manager. I got offered a position as lead engineer on a major infrastructure project in Seattle. We celebrated our first anniversary, then our second. Violet got out of jail after 4 months for good behavior. Mom sent me a text. She's changed. She wants to apologize. I didn't respond. 3 weeks later, Violet showed up at Owen's office. His assistant called me immediately. Your sister is here. Security is with her. She's demanding to see Owen. Tell security to enforce the restraining order. They escorted her out. She screamed the entire way, loud enough that people on other floors heard. She called Owen a coward, called me a vindictive bitch, said we'd both regret turning our backs on family. The police arrested her for violating the restraining order. Another court date. Another round of mom begging me to drop the charges. Another round of dad not speaking to me. I sat in the courtroom and watched Violet cry. She wore a modest dress, her hair pulled back, minimal makeup. The perfect picture of a reformed woman who'd made mistakes. Her lawyer argued she'd only wanted to apologize, to make amends, that she'd been overwhelmed with remorse. The judge reviewed her previous charges, the theft, the vandalism, the stalking messages, the violations of the restraining order that security footage had captured at Owen's office. Ms. Peterson, he said, this court gave you an opportunity to prove you could respect boundaries. You've violated those boundaries repeatedly. I'm extending your restraining order to 10 years and adding another 6 months of jail time. Violet's face crumpled. She looked at our parents in the gallery. Dad's expression was granite. Mom was crying. Then Violet looked at me. I hate you, she mouthed. I didn't react, just watched as the bailiff led her away. Outside the courtroom, my parents confronted me. Happy now? Dad asked. Your sister's life is ruined. She ruined her own life. You could have stopped this. You could have shown mercy. I did show mercy. I didn't sue her for emotional distress. I didn't go to the media. I didn't tell everyone at her work what she did. I just asked her to leave us alone. She couldn't even do that. She's sick, Mom said. She needs help, not jail. I agree. She does need help. Maybe this will finally make her get it. They left without saying goodbye. I stood on the courthouse steps, the spring sun warm on my face. Owen appeared beside me, slipping his hand into mine. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said. I really am. We went out for dinner that night. A little Italian place near our house, the kind with checkered tablecloths and candles and wine bottles. We ordered too much food and split a bottle of red wine. We talked about everything except my family, his new project, my upcoming trip to Seattle, the vacation we were planning to Iceland. When we got home, there was a letter taped to our front door. No envelope, just a single sheet of paper folded in half. I recognized Violet's handwriting immediately. Owen reached for it, but I stopped him. Let me. The letter was short. I've spent my whole life being better than you at everything. Prettier, more popular, more loved, and I still ended up here, in jail, alone. While you got the career, the husband, the perfect life. I don't understand how this happened, how you won, but you did, and I hate you for it. I hope you know that. I hope it keeps you up at night knowing your own sister hates you, because that's all I have left. My hate, and I'm going to hold on to it forever. I read it twice. Then I handed it to Owen. He read it in silence. When he finished, he said, "What do you want to do with this?" I could have kept it. Could have added it to the legal file as more evidence of harassment, could have shown it to our parents as proof of Violet's continued malice, could have framed it as a reminder of what I'd overcome. Instead, I walked to the fireplace, struck a match, held the paper to the flame and watched it curl and blacken and turn to ash. There, I said. Now she's really gone. The restraining order meant Violet couldn't attend family events if Owen or I were present. Thanksgiving came. Mom called. We're having dinner at our house. I'd love for you to come. Will Violet be there? She's my daughter. Of course she'll be here. Then I won't. This is getting ridiculous. It's been almost 3 years. Can't you just be in the same room for a few hours? No. Your father misses you. He knows where I live. He's not going to choose between his daughters. He already did. He chose Violet, like he always has. Mom was quiet for a long time. You've changed. You used to be so sweet, so understanding. I used to be a doormat. There's a difference. I spent Thanksgiving with Owen's family. His mother made too much food, and his nieces taught me a complicated board game I didn't understand. His father told embarrassing stories about Owen as a kid. It was warm and chaotic, and no one expected me to make myself smaller to keep the peace. Christmas came, no call from Mom, no card, nothing. I sent them a card anyway, just a simple one with a photo of Owen and me on a hike, both of us muddy and grinning. Inside I wrote, "Merry Christmas, we're happy, we hope you are too." Mom called on New Year's Eve. Thank you for the card. You're welcome. The photo is nice. You look healthy. I am. Violet's doing better. She got a job at a call center. She's in therapy twice a week. That's good. She asks about you sometimes. Wonders how you're doing. Mom, I know. I'm not supposed to pass messages. I just thought you'd want to know. I don't. Silence. Then, I miss you. I felt something crack open in my chest. I miss you too. Can we have lunch? Just us? I met her at a cafe near her house. She looked older, tired. She hugged me too long. I'm sorry, she said when we sat down. For everything. For making excuses for Violet. For asking you to minimize your happiness. For giving her your key. For not protecting you the way I should have. I didn't know what to say. I'd imagined this conversation 1,000 times, and in every version, I'd had the perfect response. Eloquent and cutting and final. But sitting across from my mother, seeing the regret in her eyes, I couldn't remember any of those speeches. Why? I asked instead. Why was it always her? Mom stirred her coffee. Because she demanded it. From the moment she was born, she demanded attention, affection, everything. And if she didn't get it, she'd scream until she did. You were different. You were quiet, self-sufficient. You didn't need me the way she did. I did need you. I know. Her voice broke. I know you did. And I failed you. I told myself I was being fair, giving each daughter what she needed. But really, I was just taking the path of least resistance. It was easier to give Violet what she wanted than to deal with her tantrums. And you never complained. So I thought you were fine. I wasn't fine. I was invisible. You were never invisible to me. I just got so used to you being strong that I forgot you needed support too. We talked for 2 hours. She told me about her childhood, about being the youngest daughter expected to cater to her older sisters, about how she'd seen herself in me, the capable one, the responsible one, about how she'd unconsciously recreated the same dynamic with her own daughters. Your father and I are in marriage counseling, she said. We're trying to understand our role in all of this. He's having a harder time with it than I am. He still thinks if everyone would just forgive and forget, we could go back to normal. There is no normal. There never was. I'm starting to see that. We finished our coffee. She walked me to my car. Can we do this again? She asked. Lunch? Maybe. I'll take maybe. I drove home and told Owen everything. He listened without interrupting. Do you believe her? He asked when I finished. I don't know. Part of me wants to. Part of me is waiting for her to defend Violet again, to ask me to give her one more chance. What does your gut say? I thought about it. That she means it. But meaning it isn't the same as changing. No, it's not. 3 months later, Mom invited me to lunch again. This time she brought photo albums. Pictures from my childhood I'd never seen. Me at my high school graduation, beaming. Me at a science fair, holding a trophy. Me building a birdhouse with my grandfather. I found these in the attic, she said. I'd forgotten about them. But looking through them, I realized something. I have hundreds of photos of Violet. At every birthday party, every school event, every achievement. But I only have a handful of you, because I was always behind the camera at Violet's events, and always in the audience at yours. Never documenting, never celebrating the same way. She slid one photo across the table. Me at 8 years old, gap-toothed and grinning, holding up a certificate for perfect attendance. Do you remember this? She asked. No. You were so proud. You'd worked so hard, never missed a day even when you were sick. You wanted to show me right away. But when you got home, Violet was having a meltdown because she didn't make the cheerleading squad. I told you we'd celebrate your award later. We never did. I stared at the photo. At my younger self's smile. So hopeful. I'm giving these to you, Mom said, because you deserve to have proof that you mattered, even if I didn't show it the way I should have. I took the albums home, spent an evening going through them. Owen sat beside me, pointing out photos. Look how cute you were. Is that your science fair project? You've always had that smile. That night, I called Mom. Thank you for the photos. You're welcome, sweetheart. This doesn't fix everything. I know, but it's a start. That's all I'm asking for. Slowly, carefully, we rebuilt something. Not the relationship we'd had before, but something new. Something built on honesty instead of avoidance. We had lunch once a month. She never mentioned Violet unless I asked, and I rarely asked. Dad was harder. He came to one lunch, sat in stiff silence while Mom and I talked about my work. When I mentioned Owen, Dad's jaw tightened. How is Owen? Mom asked, shooting Dad a warning look. He's great. Just got promoted to director of operations. That's wonderful. Dad finally spoke. Must be nice, having a supportive husband while your sister rots in a minimum wage job. Dad. What? It's true. She's working at a call center, living in a studio apartment, can barely make rent. Meanwhile, you're living in your big house with your fancy job and your perfect life. She broke into my home. She tried to steal my husband. She destroyed my wedding photos. She violated a restraining order. Twice. And you made sure she paid for it. The legal system made sure she paid for it. I just refuse to be a victim anymore. Dad stood up. I can't do this. I can't sit here and pretend everything is fine when one daughter won't even help her own sister. He left. Mom stayed. I'm sorry, she said. Don't apologize for him. He's struggling. He thinks being a good father means protecting both daughters equally, even when one daughter is objectively wrong. That's not protection. That's enabling. I know. I didn't see Dad again for a year. Then Owen and I announced I was pregnant. Mom called immediately, crying happy tears. I could hear Dad in the background asking what was wrong. Nothing's wrong, Mom said. We're going to be grandparents. The phone went quiet. Then Dad's voice. Let me talk to her. I waited. Congratulations, he said stiffly. Thank you. When are you due? October. Another pause. Your mother wants to throw you a baby shower. That would be nice. Violet won't be invited. It wasn't a question, but I answered anyway. No, she won't. She's going to be hurt. She'll survive. He hung up. But 2 weeks later, a package arrived. A wooden rocking chair. Hand-carved. Beautiful. The card said, for the baby. Love, Dad. Owen assembled it in the nursery. I sat in it, rocking slowly, crying for reasons I couldn't fully explain. Mom threw the baby shower at her house. Dad was there, awkward but present. He gave me a hug that lasted 3 seconds longer than usual. "You're going to be a great mother," he said. "Thanks, Dad." The shower was small. Owen's family, my friends from work, Tessa and her wife, Mom's sister, who'd always been kind to me. No one mentioned Violet. No one asked why half the family was missing. We ate cake and opened presents and celebrated the life growing inside me. On my way out, Mom pulled me aside. "Violet called this morning. She'd seen the shower on my calendar. She wanted to know if she could come." My stomach clenched. "What did you tell her?" I said no, that this was your day, and she'd forfeited the right to be part of these moments. How did she react? She cried, said I was choosing you over her, that I was a terrible mother, that she'd never forgive me. I'm sorry. Don't be. I should have said no to her a long time ago. Would have saved us all a lot of pain. My daughter was born on October 15th. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect. We named her Iris, Owen's grandmother's name. Nothing from my family. A clean slate. Mom and Dad came to the hospital. Dad held Iris with shaking hands, tears streaming down his face. "She's beautiful," he whispered. "Just like her mother," Mom said, smiling at me. For the first time in my life, I believed her. We took Iris home. Owen's parents came to visit, bringing casseroles and baby clothes and overwhelming love. My parents came too, less often but consistently. Mom taught me how to swaddle. Dad installed a car seat with meticulous precision. Life fell into a rhythm. Sleepless nights, endless laundry, the peculiar joy of a baby's first smile. Owen was an incredible father, patient and gentle and completely smitten. We were exhausted and happy and building our family exactly the way we wanted. Then Iris turned 6 months old. I was at the grocery store with her when I saw Violet. She was at the opposite end of the aisle, staring at us. She looked different, thinner. Her hair was shorter, darker. She looked worn down. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she started walking toward us. My first instinct was to run. The restraining order had expired 2 months ago, so legally she could approach me. But every cell in my body screamed danger. I stood my ground, put myself between her and the stroller. She stopped a few feet away. "She's beautiful," Violet said, looking at Iris. "Thank you. She has your eyes." "What do you want, Violet?" "I'm not here to cause problems. I just wanted to see my niece." "She's not your niece. You gave up that right when you broke into my home. That was years ago. People change." "Do they?" Violet's jaw tightened. "I've been in therapy. Real therapy. Not the court-mandated stuff. I'm working on myself." "Good. Work on yourself somewhere away from me and my family. I'm trying to apologize." "I don't want your apology. You're not even going to give me a chance?" "You've had hundreds of chances. You've wasted all of them." She looked at Iris again, her expression softening. "Mom and Dad told me about her. They showed me pictures. I'm an aunt." "No. You're a stranger who shares my DNA. That's cold. That's honest." A store employee approached, sensing tension. "Is everything okay here?" "Fine," I said. "I'm just leaving." I pushed the stroller past Violet. She didn't follow. But as I reached the end of the aisle, she called out, "I'm sorry for all of it. I know you don't believe me, but I am." I didn't turn around, just kept walking, loaded my groceries, buckled Iris into her car seat, drove home with shaking hands. Owen was in the garage when I pulled up. He took one look at my face and knew. "What happened?" "Violet. At the store." His expression darkened. "Did she threaten you?" "No. She apologized." "Do you believe her?" I thought about her face. The genuine remorse I'd seen there. The exhaustion. The years that had passed since the last time we'd spoken. "I don't know," I said honestly. "Part of me wants to. The same part that still remembers being kids together, sharing a room, telling secrets in the dark, but the rest of me remembers everything that came after. You don't owe her forgiveness." "I know." That night I called Mom. Violet approached me today. "I know." She called me right after. She was crying. "Did she say what happened? That she tried to apologize and you rejected her? That you wouldn't even look at her?" "That's not exactly what happened." I figured. But that's Violet's version, the victim narrative. "So you don't believe her?" Mom sighed. "I want to. God, I want to believe she's changed. That the therapy is working. That she's genuinely sorry. But I've been through this cycle before. The apology, the promises, the temporary improvement. Then something happens and we're right back where we started. So what do I do? Whatever feels right for you. You don't owe her anything. Not forgiveness, not a relationship, not even acknowledgement. You've built a good life without her. You're allowed to keep it that way." I thought about that. The life Owen and I had created. The home, the baby, the peace. Did I really want to risk it by letting Violet back in? A month later, Violet sent a letter. A real one, handwritten, 6 pages long. She wrote about her therapy, about realizing she'd spent her whole life deriving her self-worth from being better than me, about how when I finally succeeded in ways she couldn't, it had shattered her entire identity, about the jealousy that had consumed her, how it had poisoned every relationship she'd had. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness," she wrote. "I know I've burned every bridge, destroyed every chance, but I need you to know that I see it now. I see what I did to you, the comments, the comparisons, the constant put-downs. I see how Mom and Dad enabled it, how they let me treat you like you were less than human, and I'm so sorry." The letter went on. She wrote about Preston, about how he'd used her desperation to manipulate her into helping him steal from us, about how she'd been so blinded by the need to one-up me that she couldn't see he was a con artist, about hitting rock bottom in jail, alone, realizing she'd destroyed her life for literally nothing. "I don't expect you to respond," she ended. "I don't expect anything from you. I just needed you to know that I see what I did. And if I could take it back, if I could go back to being kids and do it differently, I would. I'd be the sister you deserved, the one who celebrated your successes instead of resenting them, the one who had your back instead of stabbing it." I read the letter 3 times, showed it to Owen. What do you think? I asked. I think it sounds genuine, but I also think she sounded genuine before. Mom said the same thing. Do you want to forgive her? Did I? I thought about it. About the years of pain, the wedding she'd tried to ruin, the home she'd violated, the nights I'd spent wondering why my own sister hated me so much. But I also thought about the sister I'd had before the jealousy consumed her, the one who'd let me hide in her room when I was scared of thunderstorms, the one who'd taught me how to French braid my hair, the one who'd existed before we'd been pitted against each other, before comparison had become competition. I don't know, I said, but I think I might want to try. I wrote back, 1 page, simple. I got your letter. I appreciate your honesty. I'm not ready for a relationship, but I'm willing to consider it in the future. If you're serious about changing, prove it through actions, not words. Stay in therapy. Build a life you're proud of without comparing it to mine. And maybe someday we can have a conversation, she wrote back immediately. Thank you. That's more than I deserve. I'll prove it. I promise. A year passed. Then another. I'd see Violet occasionally at family events I attended without Owen. Christmas morning, Easter brunch, Mom's birthday. We'd nod at each other, exchange brief pleasantries. Nothing substantial. But I noticed changes. She didn't monopolize conversations anymore. Didn't brag about her life or put down others. When Dad started to compare us during one dinner, she cut him off. Don't, she said. We're not in competition. We never should have been. Dad looked stunned. Mom smiled into her wine glass. Iris turned 2. We threw a birthday party at our house. I didn't invite Violet, but she sent a gift anyway. A beautiful wooden toy chest with Iris's name carved into it. The card said, "For your daughter. May she never doubt she's loved." I cried when I read it. 3 years after the grocery store encounter, Violet called me. I know we're not there yet, she said, but I wanted to tell you something. I'm engaged. Oh, congratulations. His name is Leo. He's a teacher. He knows everything about my past, about what I did to you, all of it. He's been pushing me to make amends, to be better. That's good. I'd like you to meet him. No pressure. Just coffee, if you're comfortable. I thought about it. About all the years that had passed. About the work Violet had clearly been doing. About the fact that she was asking, not demanding. Okay, I said. Coffee. We met at a neutral location, a cafe halfway between our houses. Owen came with me. Violet brought Leo. Leo was nothing like Preston or any of Violet's previous boyfriends. He was quiet, thoughtful, wearing a cardigan and glasses. He shook Owen's hand respectfully, didn't try to dominate the conversation. Violet was nervous. I could see her hands shaking as she stirred sugar into her coffee. Thank you for coming, she said. I know this is weird. It is, I agreed. We talked for an hour. About nothing important. The weather, Iris, Leo's students, Violet's new job as an office manager. It was stilted and awkward and nothing like the relationship we'd once had, but it was something. As we were leaving, Violet pulled me aside. I want you to know I'm not asking for us to be best friends. I'm not asking for you to forget what I did. I just want a chance to prove I'm not that person anymore. Okay, I said. Over the next year, we built something fragile. Coffee every few months. Brief text exchanges on holidays. When Violet got married, she didn't invite me to the ceremony. Instead, she sent me a photo afterward with a note. I didn't want to put pressure on you to attend, but I wanted you to know I thought about you today. About how you found a good man, and I finally did too. Thank you for showing me what that looks like. Iris turned 4. I invited Violet to the birthday party. She came with Leo, brought an appropriate gift, stayed for an hour. She played with Iris, gently, respectfully. She didn't overstep. When they left, Iris asked, "Who was that lady?" "That's Violet," I said. "She's my sister." "I didn't know you had a sister." "It's complicated." Owen's hand found mine. Most family things are. Mom and Dad were easier now. They'd stopped trying to force a reconciliation, stopped making excuses for Violet's past behavior. They attended therapy together, actually talked about their role in creating the dynamic that had poisoned their daughter's relationship. "We failed you both," Dad said during one particularly honest dinner. "We turned you into competitors instead of allies. We rewarded Violet's bad behavior by giving her attention and punished your good behavior by taking you for granted." "Yes," I said simply. "I can't take it back, but I can stop perpetuating it." And he did. When Iris did something clever, he praised her without comparing her to anyone else. When I shared good news about work, he celebrated it without worrying about how it might make Violet feel. He learned, slowly, to treat us as separate people with separate lives instead of two sides of the same competition. Violet got pregnant. She called to tell me, her voice careful. "I wanted you to know. I'm due in March. Congratulations." "That's wonderful. I've been thinking about becoming a mother, about how I was raised. I don't want to repeat those patterns." "Neither did I." "How do you do it? How do you make sure you're not damaging Iris the way we were damaged?" We talked for 2 hours. About conscious parenting, about breaking cycles, about therapy and self-awareness, and constantly questioning your own behaviors. It was the most honest conversation we'd had since we were kids. When Violet's son was born, I sent flowers to the hospital. When she brought him home, I dropped off a meal. Small gestures, but they mattered. Iris turned 6. By then, she'd met Violet several times. They had a cordial relationship, distant but not hostile. Iris called her Aunt Violet, though I'd never suggested the title. At Iris's birthday party that year, Violet and I ended up in the kitchen together, refilling drink pitchers. "She's amazing," Violet said, watching Iris through the doorway. "You're an incredible mother." "Thank you. I mean it. I see how she is with Owen, with you. She's confident, secure. She knows she's loved. That's the goal." Violet set down the pitcher she was holding. "I'm sorry I never said this properly. Not in letters or therapy or any of it. I'm sorry I tried to destroy your happiness. I'm sorry I made your childhood miserable. I'm sorry I wasted so many years hating you instead of loving you. I looked at my sister, at the woman she'd become, not the girl I'd grown up with, and not the woman who'd broken into my home, someone in between, someone trying. I forgive you, I said. She started crying. You don't have to say that. I know, but I mean it. I forgive you for what you did. That doesn't mean I forget it. That doesn't mean we go back to how things were, but it means I'm letting go of the anger, the resentment, the need to punish you for the rest of our lives. She hugged me. I let her. It felt strange and familiar all at once. When we pulled apart, she said, "Thank you for giving me a chance when I didn't deserve it." We're family, I said. Complicated, messy, broken in places, but still family. Owen found us a few minutes later. He assessed the situation, saw Violet's tear-stained face, my own damp eyes. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Everything's okay." That night, after the party, after Iris was in bed, Owen and I sat on our back porch. The sky was full of stars. "I'm proud of you," he said. "For what?" "For being brave enough to forgive her, to let her back in even partially. That takes real strength, or stupidity." "No, it's strength. You could have held on to that anger forever. No one would have blamed you, but you chose differently." I thought about the years that had passed, the pain and betrayal and slow, painful healing. About Violet's journey from the woman who'd trashed my apartment to the woman who'd cried in my kitchen. People can change, I said. Not everyone. Not always. But sometimes. Do you think she's really changed? I think she's trying. That's all I can ask for. 2 years later, Violet and I have what you might call a relationship. We're not close. We probably never will be. Too much history. Too many scars. But we're civil. We attend family gatherings together. Our kids play at Christmas. We text occasionally about parenting struggles or recipe recommendations. Mom and Dad are different too. They no longer play favorites, no longer pit us against each other. They've learned finally to love both daughters without conditions. Iris is 8 now, happy and confident. She knows she has an aunt, knows there's complicated history there, but it doesn't define her childhood the way it defined mine. Last month, Violet called me. "I'm writing you a real apology," she said. "Not the kind where I list my excuses. A real one, where I take full responsibility for everything I did. You don't have to. I do. Not for you. For me. I need to say it out loud, own all of it, and accept that some things can't be fully repaired." She sent it 3 days later. 27 pages. Handwritten. Every incident she could remember. From childhood cruelty to the apartment break-in. Every moment she'd made me feel small. Every way she'd betrayed my trust. I read it in one sitting, cried through most of it. Not because the memories didn't hurt anymore, but because I could see how much it had cost her to write them all down. At the end, she wrote, "I can't take any of this back. I can't give you the childhood you deserved, or the sisterly relationship we should have had. All I can do is make sure I'm better now. Make sure my son never treats anyone the way I treated you. Make sure I spend the rest of my life being the person I should have been all along. I love you. I always have, even when I was doing everything possible to hurt you. And I'm sorry it took me 30 years to figure out how to show it." I kept the letter, put it in a box with our wedding photos and Iris's baby pictures and all the other artifacts of our life. Sometimes I take it out and read it. Remember where we started and how far we've come. It's not a fairy tale ending. It's not complete redemption or perfect reconciliation, but it's real. And it's enough. My sister said no one would ever date me. She cried when I got engaged before her. She tried to destroy my marriage, my home, my happiness. But I got the last word. Not through revenge or punishment, but through building a life so full of love that her hatred couldn't touch it. And eventually, after years of work and growth and painful honesty, we found our way to something resembling peace. It's not the relationship I dreamed of having with a sister, but it's the one we have. And after everything we've been through, that feels like its own kind of miracle.